Howdy class. Welcome to lab number 23, where we're going to be talking about the second part of the lab replication project, which is where we're going to be having a study design and a sampling plan associated with that. Now, before we get started, I want to make sure that if you're seeing this video, that you go and look at the comments I made on your hypotheses. I made some comments of whether or not your hypotheses was I felt was valid or you needed to do some work on it. So if you need to do some work on it, please you can go ahead and stop this video now and go ahead and start working on redoing those hypotheses so that you have a better plan that's going to help you in the long run with if you work on these hypotheses now. All right, so for this part of the assignment, what we're going to be doing is you're actually going to be discussing in some sort of fashion. I know it says discussion board tool in your group, but you can use whatever you want. Honestly, I'm okay with a Google Docs if you want to discuss it on that. As long as I have access to the Google Docs so that I can make comments, I think that's going to benefit you the most if I'm allowed to make comments before you actually submit the assignment. Would be probably in your benefit. But really, what you're going to be doing is brainstorming study design ideas to test your hypotheses. So, like, think about it. What do you want? What's the best way to test your hypotheses? Do you want to do a cross-sectional study? Would you like to run a longitudinal study? Whatever you decide. So, really, the nice thing about this is you're not actually going to be running the study. So you can be as extravagant as you want with your study design. So what do you think is the best way to provide the best test of your hypothesis? You can be as creative as you like, but again, I mean, I don't feel like I should have to say this, but your design has to be ethical to some degree. So after you settled on your study design, you're going to need to come up with a sampling plan. So you think about that. You can review your lecture notes. What kind of sampling method do you want to use? Do you want to use like snowball sampling? Would it be a convenient sample? And you can discuss kind of the pros and cons of each within your group and say, okay, is it possible to do a simple random sample of some sort, which would be the ideal, right? Now, you'll submit these two plans, one for each hypothesis to your instructor as a group assignment, so not individually. And then additionally, after that, I'm going to actually kind of supply you with instructions on how to calculate the sample size you need. It'll either be through like some sort of video or an email, whatever I kind of find best fitting at the time. So we'll kind of see how that works out. And then after we calculate the sample size for the video, you'll enter the details of your study into OSF. So like I said, don't enter your details into the Open Science Framework until you get my approval. You're going to submit it as an assignment first, and then you'll submit it into OSF. So you've already submitted your hypotheses and hopefully a description of your study as well. And then you will post those on. But this is the same framework. I want you to submit these to me first, and then I'll give you the go-ahead to submit them to the Open Science Framework after you get my approval. All right, so just to recap kind of what some of your homework is. So the first thing that we're going to need from you is a research design and sampling plan that'll be due to me by Friday at 11:59 p.m. That'll be due in your assignments. It's nothing to do with OSF quite yet. You will not be submitting your sampling plan or research design to OSF quite yet. Then I will come back to you and I will approve your sampling plan or research design. And if it's approved, I will kind of tell you how to calculate a power analysis and determine the sample size. And I absolutely love doing power analyses and sample sizes, so this is going to be pretty great. Then, once you have your sample size needed to conduct the analysis, you'll go ahead and go over the OSF pre-registration section for the study and put in your sampling plan and design plan.